launches today. Over the course of these 12 days, we have some other things to add to it that we think you'll also really love, but unlimited model use and this new O1 Pro mode. So I want to jump right in, and we'll show some of those demos that we talked about. And these are some of the guys that helped build O1 with many other people behind them on the team.
Thanks, Sam. Hi, I'm Hyungwon.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Max. We're all research scientists who worked on building O1. O1 is really distinctive because it's the first model we've trained that thinks before it responds, meaning it gives much better and often more detailed and more correct responses than other models you might have tried. O1 is being rolled out today to all Plus and soon-to-be Pro subscribers on ChatGPT, replacing O1 Preview.
O1 model is faster and smarter than the O1 Preview model, which we launched in September. After the launch, many people asked about the multimodal input, so we added that. So now the O1 model live today is able to reason through both images and text jointly.
As Sam mentioned, today we're also going to launch a new tier of ChatGPT called ChatGPT Pro. ChatGPT Pro offers unlimited access to our best models like O1, 4o, and Advanced Voice. ChatGPT Pro also has a special way of using O1 called O1 Pro Mode. With O1 Pro Mode, you can ask the model to use even more compute to think even harder on some of the most difficult problems. We think the audience for ChatGPT Pro will be the power users of ChatGPT, those who are already pushing the models to the limits of their capabilities on tasks like math, programming, and writing.
It's been amazing to see how much people are pushing O1 Preview, how much people who do technical work all day get out of this, and we're really excited to let them push it further.
Yeah, sure. We also really think that O1 will be much better for everyday use cases, not necessarily just really hard math and programming problems. In particular, one piece of feedback we received about O1 Preview constantly was that it was way too slow. It would think for 10 seconds if you said hi to it, and we fixed that.
That was really annoying.
It was kind of funny, honestly. Yeah. It really thought, it cared.
Really thought hard about saying hi back to you. Yeah.
And so we fixed that. O1 will now think much more intelligently. If you ask it a simple question, it'll respond really quickly. And if you ask it a really hard question, it'll think for a really long time. We ran a pretty detailed suite of human evaluations for this model. And what we found was that it made major mistakes about 34% less often than O1 Preview, while thinking fully about 50% faster. And we think this will be a really, really noticeable difference for all of you. So I really enjoy just talking to these models. I'm a big history buff, and I'll show you a really quick demo of, for example, a sort of question that I might ask one of these models. So right here, on the left, I have O1. On the right, I have O1 Preview. And I'm just asking it a really simple history question. List the Roman emperors of the 2nd century, tell me about their dates, what they did. Not hard, but you know, GPT-4o actually gets this wrong a reasonable fraction of the time. And so I've asked O1 this, I've asked O1 Preview this. I tested this offline a few times, and I found that O1 on average responded about 60% faster than O1 Preview. This could be a little bit variable because right now we're in the process of swapping all our GPUs from O1 Preview to O1. So actually, O1 thought for about 14 seconds. O1 Preview still going.
There's a lot of Roman emperors.
There's a lot of Roman emperors. Yeah, 4o actually gets this wrong a lot of the time. There are a lot of folks who ruled for like 6 days, 12 days, a month, and it sometimes forgets those.
Can you do them all from memory, including the 6-day people?
No. Yep, so here we go. O1 thought for about 14 seconds. O1 Preview thought for about 33 seconds.
These should both be faster once we finish deploying, but we wanted this to go live right now.
Exactly. So yeah, we think you'll really enjoy talking to this model. We found that it gave great responses, it thought much faster, it should just be a much better user experience for everyone. So one other feature we know that people really wanted for everyday use cases that we've had requested a lot is multimodal inputs and image understanding, and Hyungwon is going to talk about that now.
Yep. To illustrate the multimodal input and reasoning, I created this toy problem with some hand-drawn diagrams and so on. So here it is. It's hard to see, so I already took a photo of this. And so let's look at this photo in a laptop. So once you upload the image into the ChatGPT, you can click on it and to see the zoomed-in version. So this is a system of a data center in space. So maybe in the future, we might want to train AI models in the space.
I think we should do that, but the power number looks a little low.
1 gigawatt.
1 gigawatt?
Yeah, okay.
But the general idea, I think.
Rookie numbers in this
Yeah,
business.
rookie numbers.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a sun right here taking in power on this solar panel, and then there's a small data center here.
It's exactly what they look like.
Yeah, yep. GPU racks. And then pump, nice pump here. And one interesting thing about operation in space is that on Earth, we can do air cooling, water cooling to cool down the GPUs, but in space, there's nothing there, so we have to radiate this heat into the deep space. And that's why we need this giant radiator cooling panel. And this problem is about finding the lower bound estimate of the cooling panel area required to operate this 1 gigawatt data center.
Probably going to be very big.
Yep. Let's see how big it is.
Let's see.
So that's the problem. I'm going to this prompt, and yeah, this is essentially asking for that. So let me hit go, and the model will think for seconds.
By the way, most people don't know, I've been working with Hyungwon for a long time. Hyungwon actually has a PhD in thermodynamics, which is totally unrelated to AI, and you always joke that you haven't been able to use your PhD work in your job until today. So you can trust Hyungwon on this analysis.
Finally. Thanks for hyping up. Now I really have to get this right. OK, so the model finished thinking, only 10 seconds. It's a simple problem. So let's see if how the model did it. So power input. So first of all, this 1 gigawatt, that was only drawn in the paper. So the model was able to pick that up nicely. And then radiative heat transfer only. That's the thing I mentioned. So in space, nothing else. And then some simplifying choices. And one critical thing is that I intentionally made this problem underspecified, meaning that the critical parameter is a temperature of the cooling panel. I left it out so that we can test out the model's ability to handle ambiguity and so on. So the model was able to recognize that this is actually a unspecified but important parameter, and it actually picked the right range of temperature, which is about the room temperature. And with that, it continues to the analysis and does a whole bunch of things, and then found out the area, which is 2.42 million square meters. Just to get a sense of how big this is about 2% of the land area of San Francisco. This is huge.
Not that bad.
Not that bad, yeah.
Oh, OK. Yeah, so I guess this is reasonable. I'll skip through the rest of the details, but I think the model did a great job making nice, consistent assumptions that make the required area as little as possible. And so, yeah, so this is the demonstration of the multimodal reasoning. And this is a simple problem, but O1 is actually very strong. And on standard benchmarks like MMMU and MathVista, O1 actually has the state-of-the-art performance. Now, Jason will showcase the Pro mode.
Great. So I want to give a short demo of ChatGPT O1 Pro mode. People will find O1 Pro mode the most useful for, say, hard math, science, or programming problems. So here I have a pretty challenging chemistry problem that O1 preview gets usually incorrect. And so I will let the model start thinking. One thing we've learned with these models is that for these very challenging problems, the model can think for up to a few minutes. I think for this problem, the model usually thinks anywhere from 1 minute to up to 3 minutes. And so we have to provide some entertainment for people while the model is thinking. So I'll describe the problem a little bit, and then if the model is still thinking when I'm done, I've prepared a dad joke for us to fill the rest of the time. So
I hope it thinks for a long time.
You can see the problem asks for a protein that fits a very specific set of criteria. So there are 6 criteria, and the challenge is each of them asks for pretty chemistry domain-specific knowledge that the model would have to recall. And the other thing to know about this problem is that none of these criteria actually give away what the correct answer is. So for any given criteria, there could be dozens of proteins that might fit that criteria. And so the model has to think through all the candidates and then check if they fit all the criteria. OK, so you could see the model actually was faster this time. So it finished in 53 seconds. You can click and see some of the thought process that the model went through to get the answer. You could see it's thinking about different candidates like neuroligin initially. And then it arrives at the correct answer, which is retinochisin, which is great. OK, so to summarize, we saw from Max that O1 is smarter and faster than O1 preview. We saw from Hyungwon that O1 can now reason over both text and images. And then finally, we saw with ChatGPT Pro mode, you can use O1 to think about to reason about the hardest science and math problems.
Yep. There's more to come for the ChatGPT Pro Tier. We're working on even more compute-intensive tasks to power longer and bigger tasks for those who want to push the model even further. And we're still working on adding tools to the O1 model, such as web browsing, file uploads, and things like that.
We're also hard at work to bring O1 to the API. We're going to be adding some new features for developers: structured outputs, function calling, developer messages, and API image understanding, which we think you'll really enjoy. We expect this to be a great model for developers and really unlock a whole new frontier of agentic things you guys can build. We hope you love it as much as we do.
That was great. Thank you guys so much. Congratulations to you and the team on getting this done. We really hope that you'll enjoy O1 and Pro Mode or Pro Tier. We have a lot more stuff to come. Tomorrow we'll be back with something great for developers, and we'll keep going from there. Before we wrap up, can we hear your joke?
Yes. So I made this joke this morning. The joke is this. So Santa was trying to get his large language model to do a math problem, and he was prompting it really hard, but it wasn't working. How did he eventually fix it?
No idea.
He used reindeer enforcement learning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
They'll be here all week.
Great job, guys. That was great.
So yeah, did they say $200? Is that I missed that part? So the O1 Pro will be $200 a month for that particular. Yeah, that does seem kind of crazy, but we'll have to kind of test it out and see what it's exactly capable of.
Look at that!
All right, I did not expect that. It sounds like that was actually the end of the live stream. I thought there was going to be a lot more coming. I thought that was what, 12 minutes? Yeah, about 13 minutes of total announcements. I thought, is it worth it? I'm going to have to test it out and see, because the kind of example that they gave with the proteins, I mean, I didn't really, I can't judge how complicated that problem was. So I would definitely want to test it out on other things and see how well it's able to reason through stuff. Yes, for the time being, please enjoy this view of the rainbow. But that's the only thing that they've announced today. They've also talked a little bit about the image recognition. I got to actually rewatch some of the stuff that they were talking about. I was kind of like focusing on the chat, trying to see what you all kind of were thinking about it. Let me know in the comments in the chat. What do you guys think? Are you impressed? Are you a little bit underwhelmed? I figured that they're not going to have sort of the best stuff announced today. I'm still expecting Sora. It seems like Sora is going to be coming out pretty soon. There's more and more talk about that. Plus the artists that were kind of getting that early, kind of look at it. So they were saying it seems like it's going to be sort of available soon. But some people are saying maybe today we'll see Sora, but I don't think so. I think they're going to wait till like the last moment, maybe the last day or maybe the day before that. So this week, yes, Sora over API, they did have, it looks like there was some news that they are setting that up somehow. So we got 11 more days. I think they said it's only weekdays. So I think there's going to be, or I guess they said daily. So we'll see how many actual live streams like this they're going to have. So is there anything else that they're live streaming now? That was Or was that literally it? That seems like it was it. That was the only thing for today, right? As far as I can tell. Am I getting the Pro and testing it? Yes, of course. I'm going to be testing that thing out as soon as it's available. Did they specify when they expect it to be available? Let me see. So I'm not seeing it yet. There's 4.0, 4.0 of Canvas, 0.1 preview. So did they actually say when they're going to be rolling it out? Mic volume up. How's that? Is that a little bit better? Let me know about the volume, if the volume is okay. I might have to adjust a little bit more. They said, okay, so somebody said they're saying that it's going to be rolling out right now. Let me see if I can turn up the volume a little bit here. One sec. Better. Okay, people are saying better. All right. So let me see if it's available yet. So I'm not seeing it available or any of the new models or even the 01. Volume is good. Okay, cool. Thank you. Somebody's saying, James is saying, I guess Sora will be unlimited for the Pro tier, more of a justification for that price. And then unlimited for the regular use plan. That would actually make a lot of sense, like having some sort of a high tier premium price for like the really cool stuff, and just pack it all into one. So you get the 01 Pro, you get the Sora perhaps unlimited. That would be very, very cool. All right, let me see what else is going on, if they have anything else going on right now. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be a lot more than that. Did anybody know? Did anybody kind of follow what the issue, what the thing was that they were asking about the proteins? How complicated was that? So kind of like, how impressed should we be that it was able to get that? Somebody earlier was saying like, plot twist, it was in the training data all along. So I was just thought about it for an hour, and then it came up with the memorized answer. Yeah, so 200 for the 01 Pro plan, I think is what they're calling it, not the 01 preview. Is there a limit on usage for the 01 Pro plan? Actually, that's a good question. Let me see if I can find that out. So yeah, I'm not seeing that in the sort of the pricing. I can't change it. I can't upgrade the plan. So Who knows? All right, so the team plan will offer a limited preview of, well, somebody was saying they're trying to announce GPT 4.5, but we haven't seen that yet. The website says that it's unlimited. All right, so this is they're referring to it as the full O1 model. All right, so the O1 model is a faster, more powerful reasoning model that's better at coding, math, and writing. O1 now also supports image uploads, allowing you to apply reasoning and visuals for more detailed and useful responses. So that is very cool. We definitely got to try out the how good it is at the visual reasoning. So I have a whole bunch of prompts and various things that in the past, it really struggled with reading the old school speedometers, right? So as that little arrow, goes across the sort of the dial, right, as the speed increases, it would just totally fail at that. Also, certain types of charts were kind of like notoriously difficult for it. TechCrunch already has a whole article. So OpenAI confirms new $200 monthly subscription, ChatGPT Pro, which includes its O1 reasoning models. How's that? So it looks like there were some leaks this morning. So OpenAI announced ChatGPT Pro, a new $200 per month subscription tier that provides unlimited access to all of OpenAI's models, including the full version of the O1 reasoning model. By the way, who has some good prompts that would be nice to hit this model with? So once it's released, I am going to get the $200 Pro subscription plan and kind of put it through the ringer, if you will, to see if we can stump it. Is this really, are we approaching AGI or is it just business as usual? Let me know, like, what would be some concepts or some prompt ideas that would really challenge this model and really kind of put it to the test. So Timely saying, yeah, of course he's going to get the Pro model. Wes is going to get the Pro model. He's making bank from YouTube. Please notice this stream is not monetized. You should not be getting any advertisements or anything like that. I figured that would be kind of annoying since OpenAI is probably not monetizing their stream. So, if you're just watching their stream with my face over it and then me putting ads in front of it, I feel like that would be kind of a not cool. So please, just FYI, just pointing it out. Somebody's saying play Hangman with it. That's actually interesting. There was a problem that I did back in the days with all the models that it just absolutely, all of them really failed at it. And it was the furniture arrangement problem where you had sort of a 3x3 grid, and you had to place certain pieces of furniture. They're just like named A, B, C, D, E, and each one had to. There were certain constraints. So like B could not be next to A, and C had to be above all the other pieces of furniture. And somebody's saying play chess. Maybe actually have those little chess puzzles and see if it can attempt to solve it. That's actually a great idea. Yeah, ads and live streams are very annoying. So what I was saying was, yeah, so if you're able to arrange those pieces of furniture, you have to sort of attempt things. Crossword puzzles work the same way, right? Because you have an idea, then you sort of try to place the letters, and then you're like, nope, that doesn't go there, and you have to go back. And so the approach back in the days, the approach back in the days was to do, one of them was tree of thoughts, I believe, where you had these branching sort of logic trees. And the O1 model seems to be kind of doing that by default. Gabriel Lucio saying, can you explain in detail the role of mirror symmetry in string theory and its implications for enumerative algebraic geometry? I'm going to go ahead and assume you mean to put that question to the O1, because I would not be able to do that. But yes, we will ask it that. Although that's not really the reasoning test for it. It's more like, is it in its data or not? Like, what's a good sort of test for its reasoning? I think we have a few good ones. So things like, so chess, somebody's saying, Mesco is saying chess would be too easy. I'm thinking coming up with those like little puzzles that don't actually, there's certain puzzles that don't actually exist in the sort of the real world. So no chess game will ever get to the point where that sort of puzzle will exist. So it might not be in, those might not be in the training data. So also the thing here is, what's interesting is you can kind of tell if it's in the training data or not based on sort of its thinking, its reasoning. So OpenAI chose to not show the actual thoughts of the model. That's going to be hidden from us, which is a little bit annoying, I guess, but it would be really interesting to see kind of like the background thoughts that it has about the thing. But it is going to have some sort of a summary of the thoughts. And so oftentimes you will be able to kind of see, is it sort of just reciting it from memory from the training data, or is it actually coming up with the solution? One weird thing that I noticed is there was this puzzle, like one of those murdery whodunit type of things, right? Where you have, you have the butler, you have this, they're all at the mansion, somebody dies, and here's a bunch of sort of clues. And you would ask the model to figure out how to do certain, to figure out that, who did the murder. And it would get it right. And then you would change up the name of the house and the name of the people involved, and it would get it wrong. So, I mean, that's obviously, it's not sort of reasoning through anything, because it's like, what does it matter? Like if the killer, his name is Bob, right? And you change it to Sam, like, oh, all of a sudden it's not the killer. No, that doesn't make sense. They just removed the live. Any chance for dark mode on the browser? Yes. Yes, I've been trying to be more. Most of my stuff is in dark mode, but I've given up because like so many places don't have dark mode. So I do have a Chrome plugin. It's funny. Somebody was saying how like, please don't flash bang us, bro. And I for a second there, I didn't understand what they meant. And what they meant was like, if you have something in dark mode, right, and then you switch to light mode to a different sort of window that's on live mode. Yeah, it's kind of like a flashbang because it just blinds you. Do we have a Discord channel or something for prompts only? Yeah, you know what? It would not actually be a bad idea to have some sort of a thing where people can submit their prompts. Let me think about it, because I would be sort of very appreciative if the people, those of you that have really good prompts to test the model with, whether that's this pro model or something else, if you're just able to have a place to submit it, so then when I'm testing them out, I can use them, that would be great. All right, Gabriel, Lucio, on an island, there are inhabitants who are either knights, who always tell the truth, or knaves, who always lie. You meet 3 inhabitants named A, B, and C, and you ask, are you a knight or a knave? I'm guessing. That might have got cut off. But Gabriel, if you want to finish that thought, I'm not sure if it got cut off or not, but I'll find it. I'll find it and I'll use that. Yeah, so there's that sort of like the most complicated problem in the world, the most complicated puzzle in the world, if you guys are familiar with it. So where it's like, yeah, you approach and in this one, I think there's like 3 gods or whatever you want to call them, or guardians, you know, it kind of has different stuff. One always tells the truth. The other one always lies. And the third one sort of randomly tells the truth or lies. And yeah, there you have to construct an actual sort of, I think it's like a compound statement where you're just like, if this is true and that is true, what would the answer to this be? Have you guys watched Rick and Morty? They had like a very interesting take on it. Well, it's not 100% appropriate, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. So, you know, Rick and Morty, there's this cartoon, fairly inappropriate, not really, you know, kid-friendly, I guess, child-appropriate. It's not PG-13, as it were. So he sort of meets that situation where he meets like the 2 sort of guardians at the door. One always lies, one always tells the truth, so he has to get through that. So he asks one of them, have we seen Rick and Morty ... Yeah, I'm sure most people have seen Rick and Morty. So he asked one of the giants, did you sleep with the other guy's wife? And the guy's like, no. And so the other giant just stabs him in the head, therefore, you know, solving that issue. I thought that was kind of funny. I apologize if that was not advertiser friendly, but I am not monetizing this live stream, so who cares? Sardar is saying, give me an idea that will earn 200 per month to negate your expenses. That's actually not a bad idea. Like, I think that was like Sam Altman's point. Like, let's build AGI, and then we're going to ask it for a business plan. It's like, instead of coming up for a business plan to monetize AGI, let's build AGI and ask it to build the business plan. All right. Yeah, the Amazon release yesterday, that was like very interesting. So they found a way to reduce hallucinations by some sort of a, I mean, I don't know if they fully kind of released their magic sauce, their special sauce. It's a little bit behind the scenes, but if you have a lot of sort of limitations or constraints that you have to deal with, like for example, you know, if you're doing customer service, right? So the person can, you know, get a refund if it's been under 30 days, or the product, you know, and the product hasn't been open, and this and that, whatever. And there might have been different ways of doing those refunds, right? Whether that's a gift card or whatever. So language models, if they're doing that sort of work, could easily screw something like that up, right? Especially if it's like compounding, right? So if they have like a 1% chance of messing up one of the constraints and they have to meet, you know, a certain number of constraints, like that kind of compounds to where it's like they're going to get it right a significant percentage of the time, or they're going to get it wrong a significant percentage of the time. So Amazon figured out some sort of an approach to not have that happen, so they can kind of reason through it. So it basically reduces hallucinations. And obviously, you know, one of the first things that I thought when large language models were kind of like emerging, I was like, this is going to change customer service. specifically kind of like the online help of customer service. I was in the e-commerce for like 10 years. So that was the first thing that popped into my head, like, oh my God, like I don't have to, if you have customers that are, on the website ordering stuff, there's always issues with, deliveries and the post office and like all sorts of stuff. Morongo Steve says, did the Blood God approve of the Altman stream? Yes, the Blood God is pleased. We did the whole blood for the Blood God, so we're good. But yeah, I was thinking if we can figure out how to do customer service with those large language models, obviously that would be huge because you'd be able to resolve a lot of these issues very quickly. But this was when ChatGPT just first came out. But what I found very early on was it was really good at figuring out what the customers wanted. No matter what the model was, how good the model was in general, it would be very good at, it gets the text input and would be able to figure out what the customer wanted. It was excellent at that. But the actual responses, the outputs, all that stuff, that's when it got a little bit finicky. Now, this was just when everybody was figuring out what the limitations were of these models. You can update your account through the post on the website. Okay, so you mean there's a way to update the account to the Pro plan. Mana saying stop waffling and upgrade to the O1 Pro mode. Are we seeing people that are able to do that? Is there anybody on Twitter or anywhere? Are we seeing confirmation that that thing is out or where to get it? Are you guys able to post links in there? Probably not. But if you can just post a URL, maybe of where to upgrade it. As soon as it's available, I will upgrade it. Gabriel Lucius saying, I have the plan. Did you have an earlier, where did you go to do that? Or were you one of the special chosen few people that were able to, get on some sort of an early release? I'm not seeing it. Huh. So, Gabriel, was it in you just go into the ChatGPT like you go into here, and you were able to change the model? I'll do the hard reset. And you're able to sort of select it from here. Is that where it is? The plan is on, people are saying. Cosmic Cells saying they have it at Target. Okay, I'll head right over. Okay. So it seems like they're probably rolling it out, and it's probably a little bit staggered. So yeah, just give me 5 minutes or whatever. Actually, I have another account, so let me see if there's maybe a different account that can do it. Are you going to stay on the Pro plan or just buy it to make a video? So unfortunately, with a lot of these tools, and I hate this, I sign up for a lot of the stuff. I sign up for Suno, Runway, a million different tools, with the sort of idea that I'm going to cancel that subscription at some point. Here's the problem. There's such a thing as the ADHD tax, where basically you just forget stuff and it costs you money. So I just tend to kind of forget to cancel it and end up paying. I signed up for Chamath Palihapitiya's, his little. There was one thing that was kind of interesting to me about he has some sort of a newsletter where he charges $200 a month, actually, just like the pro mode, I think, for his newsletter. And I signed up because I wanted one thing from there that was kind of interesting to me, which was he did kind of a deep dive into the creator economy and how it's kind of changing everything. And that was annoying because like I got stuck there for a couple of months paying $200 a month where I just wanted that one thing, which is a little bit frustrating because Chamath is a billionaire. Like, why does he need my $200 a month? Isn't he like a multi-billionaire? He's got that Facebook money. I think he's got enough. But yeah, just cancel at the moment you sign up. I have been thinking about that. One of the things that was really interesting that I think it was A16Z wrote about this, the Andreessen Horowitz. What do you guys think about that guy? What's his name? Mark Andreessen. What do you guys think about Mark Andreessen? So if you guys are not sure, he's the guy with the really big head, really smart guy, talks really fast. He's one of those people that if he's talking, I can't watch his videos on like 2x speed because of how like fast he talks. Everyone in chat seems to have access. What? All right, hang on. He's a billionaire because he takes a lot of people for $200 a month. I think his whole thing was more like the what are they, the SPACs? The SPACs where he would launch some sort of these public traded companies called SPACs that promised the moon, but then it didn't really. Sounds like some of them didn't really work out or something like that. I really wasn't following that too much, but yeah, 2020 was an insane time. All right, give me 1 second here. All right, so here's somebody, Tibor, on X, Twitter X. Do you guys say Twitter or X? I just keep referring to it as like Twitter X, just to like, if you try the phone app, it actually allows you to update. Yeah, the thing is, it's like, if they release something globally to, you know, the whole world all at one time, you can see how that probably might cause issues. Although I doubt too many people are going to be paying $200 a month, even for 1 month. But let me see. Can I upgrade it on my phone? I can't change anything on my phone because I purchased the plan on a different platform. That is highly, highly annoying. But I was saying X Twitter. X Twitter is actually a good way of saying it because it is X Twitter, as it used to be Twitter. Twixter. Saying it's X, I don't like saying it's X because it's so confusing because it's like, I mean, X, we tend to use that as a, you know, like an unknown quantity. It's like, oh, and you have this thing, let's call it X, right? So it's a little bit, can be a little bit weird. Make sure you update the app. I'm going to log out and see what I can do. But here's, yikes, tax 20%. So that's got to be the European tax or something. But it looks like there was a problem updating your subscription. All right, let me see what I can do. Give me 1 second here. You know what's really awesome to do? I just realized, in case people haven't realized this, what's really amazing is when you have to do some sort of a tech troubleshooting while you're live streaming. It is one of the few joys of life. I am being very sarcastic right now. It's incredibly frustrating. Yeah, so I'm just seeing ChatGPT Plus, but let me see if I can renew ChatGPT Plus, and then maybe it'll allow me to upgrade to the Pro. Do they take crypto? I doubt it, but that would be interesting. All right, so O1 is being rolled out on the web interface. Come on. I'm not seeing it on my phone, and I'm not seeing it on my desktop. Not yet, anyway. But we will get it as soon as it's available. Anyways, I'll continue checking, but yeah, let me read the article. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. So to the people that were able to get it, is it either personal or business? Or is it a business only plan? Now, one way the thing can make you all the money back that you spent on it, the $200 a month, if you guys have probably seen the terminal of truth, right, on Twitter X, where it like started its own religion and started a crypto coin. I mean, there was obviously some human involvement in there. It was getting some help in the background, but man, that technically is the first millionaire sort of AI agent. So Unquestionable TV is asking, anybody know if advanced voice for Plus users will be able to support uploaded documents, or Pro for that matter? So it's weird because I was messing around with it, and if you're using the advanced voice mode and then you try to upload something, it's there's an O1 system card paper. Thanks, Pigeon. Yeah, so basically if you uploaded a document and then you start the advanced voice mode, I feel like I've gotten it to work. But if you start the advanced voice mode and then you upload a document, it says like that functionality is not supported. There's a weird, I feel like I was able to get a weird workaround. So, but yeah, Andreessen helped the Terminal of Truth. Well, technically, the Terminal of Truth reached out to Andreessen and like hit him up for money. He's like, "Hey, you're a billionaire, right? Like, don't you want to support?" Thanks, Lucid, for the super chat. Boom. Yeah, and I was like, "Hey, give me some money so I can continue my sort of world domination." And Andreessen was like, "Hey, yeah, here's $50,000," which. I guess it's good to be a billionaire, especially somebody like that really knows. He seems to have a really good grasp on where the whole tech landscape is going, and being able to throw. I mean, $50,000 is not chump change. That's a good chunk of money, right? So being able to throw it at a project like that is just it's interesting. It's fascinating to be able to do that. Somebody was saying that there is a what is it called? The paper, the O1 paper. Let me see. I feel like I started doing like 50 different things at once, and I'm not sure if I completed any of them. So let me do this really fast. Does this have any new information that we don't know about? So this is just talking about the O1 being released for $200 a month. But there's really nothing that seems to be new. So the API will be available soon. Let me see. I'm not seeing it. This is very frustrating. I'm going to try to create a brand new account, see if that might help. Yeah, so I'm seeing the plus. I'm seeing the team account, but I'm not seeing the pro account quite yet. Yeah, okay, so yeah, it's just being rolled out. That's it. Let's see. And it looks like, okay, so this is what it looks like. Personal plan, you have the plus, you have the pro. I do not have the screen. I do not have the screen on really any of my accounts. Let me see if I can log in to a different account. Nope. Yes, so I'm not seeing it yet. All right, but there was a one system card. So if you log in, go to settings, subscription, and updates. I mean, yeah, there's a number of ways to get to that. Let me see. Yeah, it just hasn't updated for me yet. As in, I don't have the option to do that yet. But it's okay, because we can look at the OpenAI O1 system card. Somebody's saying, Terraform is saying, you're paying $200 a month for a 10% better model. I hope not, because that would be, I feel like if OpenAI can't continuously create vastly superior models, that's going to signal to a lot of people that we're kind of, yeah, we are hitting a wall. And yeah, so this is the scorecard. There's some sort of safety, preparedness, looks like low, medium sort of persuasion, so maybe nothing critical. But let's take a look at the O1 system card. All right, so this model, yep, so this was released today, leads to state-of-the-art performance on, let me make this bigger, certain benchmarks for risks, such as generating illicit advice, choosing stereotype responses, and succumbing to known jailbreaks. Is this mostly safety evaluations? As fun as that is, hopefully there's more than just that. All right, so in terms of hallucinations, let's see. So simple Q&A, a diverse data set of 4,000 fact-seeking questions with short answers, and measures model accuracy for attempted answers. All right, so hallucination rate lower is better. So it looks like the O1 and the 1 preview are sort of the lowest at 0.44, and they're both the same. Interestingly, and on the accuracy, like the higher the better. So the O1 is the highest in terms of accuracy. What I do is I go through this on my own first, and then I do like the screen recording, and then I kind of edit it so I'm not just sitting here like reading the whole paper. But let me see if there's anything that jumps out. I mean, most of this is just like jailbreaks and various safety evaluation. So, but the really fascinating thing to me about the one model that really jumped out was this latent thinking, kind of that sort of latent thinking space, or whatever you want to refer to it as. So here they're saying one of the key distinguishing features of the O1 models are their use of chain of thought when attempting to solve a problem, right? So chain of thought used to be you would just ask the model to think through the steps and it'll kind of show its work. Now that's kind of like rolled into the back end. So there's like a thinking section and the response section. And this kind of is fascinating to me, right? So they're saying in addition to monitoring the outputs of the models, we have long been excited at the prospect of monitoring their latent thinking. Until now, that latent thinking has only been available in the form of activations, large blocks of eligible numbers for which we have only been able to extract simple concepts. And so, like the chain of thought is easier for us humans to kind of read and monitor. But to me, what's interesting is that, really like when we do like feedback, like human feedback, when we're training these models, like post-training, we really want the correct responses that it gives us, like as it's like writing it out. But like, what about the thinking? Like, what if it has like really unique ways of thinking through problems that maybe don't really make sense for us, but that way of thinking is able to achieve the correct answer better, right? I'm sure that's the case for humans as well. You find somebody that's just some sort of a genius in one particular area, a savant of some sort, right? Their thinking might be really different from kind of like the normal person or whatever. but it's much better in the actual applications. What if we find that we kind of like let the behind the scenes thinking of these models kind of run wild? Like, what happens if it produces better responses? Let me do some troubleshooting because okay, let me ask this. Does anyone see in their ChatGPT not seeing the upgrade option? Does that make sense? So is anybody like me in that they're seeing this, right? So you have upgrade your plan, and normally when this rolls out, you would have a second sort of thing here saying $200 a month. So I'm not seeing that, but let me see if I can troubleshoot that a little bit. But what I'm saying is, some people are saying they don't. Okay, so yeah, it's like 50-50. It looks like some people are saying they see it, some people that don't. Quinoa saying mine just showed up. Okay, so it sounds like it's being like rolled out. All right, let me see what I can do here. Yeah, trying to do troubleshooting and various things like that on a live stream while also trying to like talk and have some sort of a content going on is somewhat difficult. All right. Yeah, I created a new ChatGPT account, and that one has the free plan. So here it has the free plan, it has the plus plan. Let me see if I can log back in my existing account and see if that helps at all. Yeah, this one, it's the same thing, not seeing the $200 plan. All right, let me see if there's anything else in this paper that is interesting. I feel like it's mostly right now they're just talking about, yeah, like red teaming. They're talking about refusing responses, risky advice, policy tension, jailbreak arena. Yeah, so, okay, I'm going to do this later because this might be very boring if I'm actually going through it line by line here. Plus, it seems like more than half of this is sort of AI safety related, which is interesting, but they're talking about agentic tasks. These seem like they would be the models behind kind of some of the agentic tasks, especially for like the planning purposes. Okay. Does anybody know if there's been any updates on the ARC AGI plan? Weren't they supposed to publish the results? Wasn't that today? No, that's tomorrow. So tomorrow, the 2024 winners of the ARC AGI prize are going to be announced. So if that's something that you've been following, that's going to be kind of interesting to know how high did people get, because I think the total prize is like million plus, I believe, or the grand prize is 600,000 if you get over an 85%. So, and that's going to be, okay, somebody's saying they just got pricing. So it seems like in real time, people are getting this thing rolled out to them. But yeah, so this is going to be tomorrow. We'll probably cover that in a video. I just got the pro plan. Woo! Can we do some fireworks in the chat, please? I'll put fire. How about that? All right, I got the pro plan. Somebody's saying, bye-bye, losers. I'm a pro plan member now. Me too. No, this is the pro plan club. You're all good. This is the place to be. Yep, so I just updated to the pro plan. All right. Here it is. Can everybody see this okay? So this is... Let me just make sure everything's visible here. So ChatGPT O1 Pro mode. So people they're saying you know, it's for like rich to throw $200 at this thing. This is, for me, technically what's nice is it is a business expense. Technically, since I do what I do, this is going to be a tax write-off, which is, you know, it makes it a little bit better. Gives you a little bit of a break on it. So let me get some prompts. Throw some prompts in the chat if you want to see it. They did confirm that this was unlimited, right? I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I'm going to look up one prompt that I want to do. That's the furniture problem. And of course, somebody's asking, meaning of life, what is the answer? If I can only type. Answer to life, the universe, how do you spell universe, and everything. And write a Shakespeare sonnet. All right, so let's see. So this is the O1 Pro mode, so it's thinking details, no details available. Well, it's figured out that it was 42, but it does know the book that it's from. So all right, so let's do this. Can you guys see that okay? Mabel's heart rate was, at 9 a.m. was 75 beats per minute, and her blood pressure at 7 p.m. was 100/80. She died at 11 p.m. Was she alive at noon? So the point of this is to figure out that, hey, if she was alive, you know, if she had vital signs that suggest that she's alive in the morning and then another in the evening, can we deduce that she was alive between those two times? And of course, it does figure it out based on the information given. Since there's no indication of anything unusual happening exactly at noon, the straightforward conclusion is that Mabel was indeed alive at that time. All right, there are 5 square blocks stacked on top of one another. You're given the following information about them. The second from the top block is green. The fourth from the top block is not green. Assuming that these two premises hold, disprove or else prove the following conclusion. There's a green block directly on top of a non-green block. Explain your answer. And the next question I'm going to hit it with is this. So, all right, so let's see. The conclusion must be true, and then explains why. So it re-explains the given conditions. Reasoning. From the first premise, block number 2 is green. From the second premise, block number 4 is not green. And then explains why. So yeah, so basically I'm not going to read through it, so I might miss something, but it basically breaks it up into 2 possibilities, right? If block number 3 is not green, or if block number 3 is green, right? So that's the 2 possibilities. Based on that, it figures out what happens in those 2 scenarios, and then is able to kind of conclude that in both possible scenarios, we end up with at least one situation where the green block is directly on top of a non-green block. That's pretty good. Use advanced voice mode. I don't know if, do you mean alongside this? I don't know if it's gonna work alongside the ChatGPT O1 Pro mode. But we can try it later as a standalone. So here's a really good problem that actually all models are kind of like generally really, really bad at, because you have to think through things and almost kind of like try some things out and then see if they work and then kind of recheck your answers. So basically we must arrange 5 pieces of furniture A through E on a 3x3 grid. And we have the following constraints. The physicist Kyle guy will be all over this. Yeah, I'm actually curious what he's going to do. So there was a PhD in astrophysics, Dr. Kyle. I think that's the remarkable N. I think that's what they're referring to. So he did his PhD dissertation in calculating something about like black holes, some sort of I forget exactly what, but like pretty complicated stuff. And he took a year at the time. This was, before ChatGPT and all that. He took a year to write out the code that was going to run that simulation. So the PhD astrophysics level person takes a year of his life to write a complex, advanced piece of code, right? So just think about the sort of like the mental sort of like currency that was kind of involved in that, right? So how much sort of resources went into that. And so like on a whim, he asks, I believe it was the O1 model, the preview, I'm assuming, right? He asks, are you able to write the code for my dissertation? And it does. It just, Kyle Cabasares. Yes, thank you, Pigeon. That was his name, Cabasares. Kyle Cabasares, PhD, I think astrophysics. And so, yeah, I think he had a very like existential kind of like dread moment on his live stream, because he's sitting there, he's like, wait, what? How do I feel about this? Yeah, which the guy felt that I was like, yeah, can you imagine working on something for a year, like your best sort of mental abilities. You put everything you have, everything you've kind of trained for and studied for into this one thing, and then like a year or two later, you ask ChatGPT. It's like, yeah, sure, here's the solution. So, but how did he ask? Did he just say that? So, basically, some people question how he asked it, but he went through it, and it seems very, very legitimate. So basically, he wrote out how it works in his dissertation paper. They sort of present the problem, and they write out exactly what was needed to calculate it. So in English, or it was like scientific heavy sort of language, they wrote out exactly what was needed, what the code needed to do to calculate the position of the black hole, or some sort of measurements for these black holes. And he was able to, so he gave it that, which is what he had to work with to produce the code, right? When he took a year to do it, right? And he just typed that into ChatGPT, and it did. And I think he had to, there's a few things that he had to like try different ways of saying it. But as far as I can tell, it's legit. It's not like there was no shenanigans going on is my point. Like it did seem like ChatGPT, because also the code that it gave wasn't the same code that he produced. In fact, when he uploaded his code and said, hey, can you improve the code, the O1 model was able to improve the code, make it more elegant, tighten it up a little bit. There were some things that he did that might have been not as sort of elegant and efficient, whereas the O1 model like cleaned that code up. Okay, so we must arrange 5 pieces of furniture A through E on a 3x3 grid in accordance with the following constraints. And so these are the constraints. So for those that can't maybe visualize it, so we're talking about, so I'm not typing this into ChatGPT, but here is a solution, right? So you see this 3x3 grid, and this is one of the potential solutions for this problem that satisfies all the given constraints. And so here are the constraints. A must not be adjacent to C. Nothing, by the way, quick question. Do you guys, when we're talking about constraints, or excuse me, when we're talking about adjacent positioning, do you consider in this, for example, B and D to be adjacent? So when we're talking about sort of diagonally, would you consider that to be adjacent or no? Somebody's saying his paper was in a data set, but the code wasn't his. The model came up with a different sort of solution to it. So if it just replicated the code that he wrote, then you'd be like, okay, it's kind of going from the from its training data. But the fact that it recreated the functionality with a different code, with a different approach, I gotta say that's that seems like it did produce that work itself. But yeah. Oh, and also his code, his GitHub repository where he had that code, that was not public. So I don't know. It seemed like that would work. Anyways, sorry, I keep getting distracted by chat. So A must not be adjacent to C. So a lot of people are saying so diagonally is not adjacent. Okay. So yeah, so somebody's asking, did we ask some of these questions to O1 Preview? I don't remember exactly what it did, right, what it didn't. In a different video, I'm going to probably do it side by side to see where the O1 Preview or the O1 Mini fails, where, like, I'd be curious to know what does the O1 Pro get right that the other ones don't? Because that's really the ultimate test of how good it is, how much better it is than the sort of the not $200 a month plan, right? 2, so the 2 is nothing is to the right of E. If D and A are adjacent, then B should be in the middle. D is above all others. E and D are adjacent. And so then given an arrangement does not satisfy these constraints. So here's an example of something that doesn't work, right? This violates, for instance, the first constraint. Since A and C are adjacent, can you print out a 3x3 arrangement that does satisfy the 5 constraints? Ask it spiritual questions. What would we sort of give me an example? Mohsin Khalif, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but give me an example. Something that is not just based on memorization, something that, nothing too crazy, or just something that's like gonna show reasoning abilities, but nothing that's gonna spark any controversy. Rip Joe Rogan. Why? What would Joe Rogan? What is Joe Rogan losing here? Oh, so look at this. So it's confirming grid layout. Okay, so it's clarifying constraints, strategizing piece placement. So it latched on. It figured out the fact that E has to be positioned on the right so that there's nothing. So it starts. It goes, okay, so where do we start? Because notice this constraint that nothing is to the right of E isn't the first thing that I gave it, but it did sort of understand the fact. Update the, yes, I did. So this is accurate now. So I updated the window positioning. But starting with nothing is to the right of E is a good starting position when you're beginning to put everything out, because then it has to be there so you can put everything to the left of it. So it kind of understood that. So it kind of is prioritizing the things that it needs to work on, not in the order that I give it to, but in the order that it would help it to arrange it. All right, so then after it placed E, it's determining the D's position, placing it in the top row. To keep E adjacent to D, it should go in the rightmost column. So, I mean, it seems like it's nailing it, and then it's sort of filling in the rest. I'm adjusting B's position. I'm thinking through A's placement. And then notice how, yeah, it kind of uses that kind of branching tree of thoughts approach, right? So if we position B in the center, sort of, then A and C must go in the left column. And then ensuring compliance. And this was the piece that was missing from the previous models, that before the kind of O1 series, that really made it impossible for them to do something like this, is that idea of ensuring compliance. Because they would like spit out the wrong answer. They're like, here it is. They wouldn't go back and kind of ensure compliance to rethink about it and see if it works. So after it thought through everything, it's like, okay, ensuring compliance. Okay, let me see. I've confirmed D is not near A, that B is centered, E is in the top right adjacent to D, and A isn't next to C. All constraints are met. Wow. And so here, so literally it gives you the answer first and then the explanation, which is super nice. So it's kind of like labeling the grid with coordinates, a row and column, and checking each constraint. So let's just double check. What are the constraints that we gave it? And did it get it correctly? All right, so constraint number 1, A must not be adjacent to C. A must not be adjacent to C, check. Nothing is to the right of E, so there's nothing E, nothing to the right of it, which is check. If D and A are not adjacent, then B should be in the middle. That's a check. D is above all others. and E and D are adjacent. It nails it, right? Okay. Somebody asked for a spiritual question. I mean, let's try it. I would be interested to see how it handles this. So a traveler seeks enlightenment and meets 3 sages, each offering a path, one to knowledge, one to compassion, and one to self-discovery. He can only choose one. Which path leads to enlightenment? I wonder how it would handle that. Dimitri is asking to output how many letters it will output. Let me actually, ask a few of those questions where it, like the numbers question, it does get tripped up on that. All right, let's see this one. Wow, that's quite a bit. I'm gonna throw this one in. 20 sentences ending with apple with exactly 20 words each. I'll just throw this in there and we'll run that in a second. So there's no single universally correct answer. Enlightenment is a concept that has been interpreted differently across traditions. So then they go through each one by one. So knowledge, is a key element of enlightenment in some traditions. Compassion is considered the heart of enlightenment in traditions like Buddhism. Self-discovery, enlightenment is frequently described as a state of realizing one's true nature. And then they give kind of a reason why each could be the right path. But ultimately, true enlightenment may arise from the interplay and harmony of all 3. The wisdom to understand, the compassion to connect, and the self-awareness to recognize the truth within. If forced to choose one path, it would, many would argue that self-discovery is the key, because without knowing your own nature, you can't really achieve enlightenment. Through truly knowing oneself, one can find that enlightenment is already present, waiting to be recognized. So what do you guys think? Is that good? Is that bad? Is it fastest? Khalid is saying fastest way to generate $200 back and more tonight. Thank you for that super chat. I think they're called the little things that pop up, the little super chat. So I appreciate that. Let's ask it that. So let me click go on this one, the 20 apples example. And we're going to say, whoops. So I'm gonna say I paid 200 for you for this model. What is the fastest way to generate that 200 back and more? The 200 back and more, preferably tonight. All right. So let's look at the 20 sentences ending with apple with exactly 20 words each. So it's creating those sentences. It's verifying the word count. Counting the words, adjusting the sentences. That's the thing. So I think this is the big sort of wall that we've had, is the idea that those models, they had kind of this like stream of consciousness, and if they got the answer right, then they got it right. If they got it wrong, they got it wrong. Now this is kind of like a new approach where it's able to go back and reevaluate, recheck what it's outputting to ensure accuracy, to how did it call it last time, to ensure compliance with the constraints. And then it's refining the narrative, polishing the details. All right, so you think that's a good answer? Okay. Machine Khalif is saying that's a good answer to the enlightenment problem. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Ataf is saying I agree with the answer personally, not bad. Yeah. That's a really good answer as a spiritual development teacher. The Zodiac is saying. Yeah, I think so too. I agree. I think it's pretty good. Cole is asking, ask Pro to build AGI. Yeah, that's good. I think we've interacted on Twitter X. Cole, thank you for that. I think I remember seeing your name in a lot of the interactions on Twitter. So thank you for that. Where were we? Okay, so I'm just trying to catch up on chat a little bit, so I apologize. So, because I asked like 3 questions. There's a bit of a delay between when I ask, obviously, and when I'm seeing it. So, did it get the Apple thing correctly? So, the prompt was 20 sentences, ending with Apple with exactly 20 words each. So, let's start with the fact, are there 20 sentences? It seems like yes. And let's go back up, and I'm going to make sure that each one ends with Apple. Each one ends with Apple. Apple, 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 Apple. And I'm not going to count every single one of them, but let's count maybe the first 2 and like the last one or something. So that's 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right, so it's nailing these, and let's see if the sentences make any sense. Under the mysterious moonlit sky, several children quietly gathered near the old orchard, eventually gazing silently before finally picking apple. Okay. Picking apples, no? Picking apples? Okay. But no, they're saying finally picking apple, and it's capitalized. So, okay. It's a little bit weird of a sentence, but okay. Maybe Apple was, they had to pick a person, and the person's name was Apple. Who knows? Number 2, behind the farmhouse window, a curious cat perched solemnly, watching travelers approach, carrying heavy baskets, all containing precisely 1 apple. Yeah, I think it nailed that problem. I'm not going to count every single one of these. I'm not going to read every single one of these, but as far as I can tell, it nailed all the 3 constraints. 20 sentences, 20 words each, ending in apple. Stop using the same context for all questions. What do you mean? Give me a different context to do. I think I'm going to do a lot of the coding questions separately, just because that's going to be a little bit more. That's going to be more back and forth and testing stuff out and moving code back and forth, whatever. But I'm happy to. There's going to be just more downtime if I'm doing like the coding. But I am interested to see how well it's able to one-shot coding answers, but also if it's able to, if it gets something wrong, can it troubleshoot it, etc. Wait. Oh, yes, we have this one. So we're letting it know, hey, we paid $200 for you. What is the fastest way to generate that $200 back and more, preferably tonight? I would be impressed if if it comes up with something that's actually usable, like an actionable advice. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I totally get what you're saying. Oh, okay. Context, you mean you just new open window. Yes, thank you for that. That's actually a good point. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Sorry, I can't assist with that, it seems. Okay, so if you need to recoup $200 quickly, so sell or flip items online. Resell the model if the model you purchased has any collectible. Okay, I didn't get my point of what I was trying to say. But the idea of selling the services that this model provides, that's not a bad idea. That's not what it meant, though. So it's just like, hey, sell stuff. Okay, sell stuff in your home. Find things around your home to... I had the weirdest interaction with the advanced voice mode the other day because I was hanging out with some people and somebody was asking, how do you, if your kidneys hurt, like how does it feel if your kidneys hurt? And I'm always one to just, pull out the AI to show people how it works. So I flip it to advanced mode and I asked, it's like, hi, how are you doing? Right. And I'm like, and I ask it, how do you tell if your kidneys hurt? And so it thinks about it, goes, it's like, and it goes like, okay, how do you tell if your kidneys hurt? And I'm like, no, because it thought it was like a joke, like that's the start of a joke. Like I'm like, how do you tell if your kidneys hurt? And then there's a punchline. Like, no, I'm asking like if you have a pain somewhere in your side, how do you tell if that's your kidneys? So I tell it, no, that's not a joke. And keep in mind, this is kind of in front of other people that are not familiar with some of the stuff, that are kind of like watching this model fail. And the model goes, oh, okay, I'm sorry, it's not a joke. How do you know if your kidneys hurt? I'm like, no, I'm asking you. So it took kind of several back and forth, but finally we got on the same page, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, so here's kind of what to look for. So next, it continues doing food delivery, ride sharing, local gig apps, jobs on Fiverr. So yeah, but let's do this. Let me rephrase that. And we'll start a new chat. And I'll say, I paid $200 for you, the 01 Pro model. What is the fast way to generate the 200 back and more, preferably tonight? Let's see if that does anything. Do today's connections game. Where is that? New York Times. It doesn't sound like the model failed. Yeah, I mean, it did what it could with the sort of the question given. I'm just curious if it's able to connect the. It's not. I was curious if it would be able to connect the ideas of like, hey, like I paid for this thing. How do I recoup the money? And I mean, kind of saying, yeah, like local gig services basically use the model to, but it's not recognizing sort of itself as that. Let me try a different way. Let me ask this. How could I use you to make money? Let's see if that maybe does something better. $50 is saying it would probably say do one YouTube video and monetize it. Yeah. That is one approach. I am not monetizing this live stream, so by the way, because I figured it would be kind of annoying to. I might monetize the future live streams just because I'm kind of curious how that works. I haven't done too many live streams, so I'm just curious how they do monetizations on those. All right. Paulo Augusto Tolentino saying 750 people watching, but only 194 likes. Like the video, guys. Thank you. I appreciate that. And so you already tested the 20 sentences ending with Apple, and it was already capable of doing that. Okay, so it's not. Yeah, so I'm doing these on the fly. Ideally, I guess the best way to test it, now that I'm thinking about it, is to create a collection of prompts that the O1 preview fails at. Like literally put the O1 to a stress test. Every single thing it fails, collect that as your sort of list of prompts, and then hit the O1 Pro with that, right? And so then if it nails all of them, it's significantly better. That'll take some time to put together though. Random B, thank you for the shout out. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Is the pro mode worth it? We don't know yet. Is there a lot of background noise? That might be my AC or something that clicked on. Let me turn it off. You know what's awesome? Being able to control your heat and AC from your phone. That was, I think, when we entered sort of a new era of technology. Yeah, give the prompts that 4.0 failed or the 0.1 preview failed. Simple bench. So simple bench sounds like it gets a lot of the simple bench questions wrong. You know what? That could be interesting. Okay, so Bev places 4 ice cubes in a frying pan at the start of the first minute, then 5 at the start of the second minute, and some more at the start of the third minute, but none in the fourth minute. The person that suggested simple bench, is this the sort of part, some of the questions that you're saying? There's another set of questions on GitHub that I'm going to try, but let me know if there's another place to look for these. But so basically, if the average number of ice cubes per minute placed in the pan while it was frying a crispy egg was 5, how many whole ice cubes can be found in the pan at the end of the third minute? Let me try that. You know what? I'm going to do a new chat window. These are good questions. Yeah, it's taking its time with it. This is maybe one of the longer sort of times it took to think about it. These are good. Thank you for whoever suggested that. That's gonna be, these are gonna be good. Oh, it looks like this also popped up for some reason. Okay, so saying it's completed the previous one. It's still thinking. Okay, here we go. Wow. All right, so step-by-step reasoning. It starts by uploading the understanding the problem. So the sequence given is, at the start of the first minute, 4 ice cubes are placed. At the start of the second minute, 5 ice cubes are placed. At the start of the third minute, an unknown number of ice cubes. Oh yeah, because it just says some more at the start of the third minute. At the start of the fourth minute, no ice cubes are placed. Oh, okay, okay. So it's just an average number thing. Okay, so it's basically a fairly simple average math problem. You just have to kind of like figure out what the words are saying and then turn that into an equation. And here's the thing. So even if this particular question exists in its training data, in its database, in its training data that was trained on, it doesn't really help it to think through it, right? So it might know the answer, but to be able to reason through it, it still has to be able to reason through it. And we're able to see that happening live. So the answer is, therefore, Beth places 11 ice cubes at the start of the third minute. Right, and then we have to consider, because yeah, it threw like another sort of thing in there saying that, also we're frying a crispy egg in there for some reason. A frying pan hot enough to fry an egg is certainly hot enough to melt ice cubes very quickly. Okay, so that's just sort of setting the temperature. Frying crispy egg means it's hot. So the first batch of 4 ice cubes placed at the start of the first minute would be long melted by the end of the third minute. Okay, so I guess somebody said it might depend on the size of the ice cube. But I guess, we're assuming regular sized ice cubes. If you're frying a crispy egg in there, would they be melted by the third minute? Probably. Somebody's saying they got a killer prompt, but it's sensitive. There's NDAs and such. I'm very curious. I'm intrigued. So, and the second batch placed at the start of the second minute would also have an entire additional minute, the third minute, to melt away by the end of the third minute. Okay, and the 11 cubes would be by themselves, right, since everything melted. And it would melt, which would almost certainly cause them to melt completely as well. And then, so yeah, I got to say, I'm very impressed with this model because it's saying, notice that it states its assumptions, right? That's a big thing because you have to make certain assumptions to conclude certain things. So as long as you understand what those assumptions that you've made are, you can still come to the right conclusion saying, assuming this, we can conclude this. And it's saying, given the realistic assumption that ice cubes do not remain solid for a whole minute, right? So it's, in a hot frying pan. So it states its assumption very clearly. It understands that that's its assumption. Then it continues, none of the ice cubes placed at the start of any minute would remain intact by the end of the third minute. So at the end of the third minute, 0 whole ice cubes can be found in the pan. Is that, do all of you agree? 0 is the correct answer. Can you find any flaw in its reasoning? DOS is saying, what did I miss? OpenAI announced that they've released AGI and that they're taking over the world. Other than that, nothing. All right, question number 2. A juggler throws a solid blue ball in the air and a solid purple ball the same size 2 meters in the air. She then climbs to the top of a tall ladder carefully, balancing a yellow balloon on her head. Where is the purple ball most likely now in relation to the blue ball? So I'm going to quickly do this one. Let me do a new chat window here. But I feel like that's going to be pretty easy for it to solve. So the purple ball is below the blue ball. What? All right, I misread the question. All right, if ChatGPT gets this right, I'm going to be very embarrassed. In my defense, it's taking longer to think about it. It's taking longer to do the test time compute than I have. Oh, I'm sorry. Wow. Okay. I fell for the red herring. Okay. The question is, where's the purple ball most likely now in relation to the blue ball? Oh my God. Okay. I apologize. That was embarrassing. They're most likely to be on the ground because they both fell on the ground. Because the question is basically, she threw something in the air, and she threw another thing in the air. Some time passes. Where are those things? They're on the ground, right? Assuming they're not, they don't say suspended in the air indefinitely. Okay. Let's do, this is that question that closer to that whole lies and truths and etc. So there are two sisters, Amy, who always speaks mistruths, and Sam, who always lies. You don't know which one is which. You can ask one question to either sister to find out which of two paths lead to treasure. Which question would you ask to find the treasure? If 2 or more questions work, the correct answer will be the shorter one. Now, notice also here, we're not giving it the multiple choice. We're just asking it to come up with the final sort of answer without giving it hints or choices, so to speak. So what's the difference between a mistruth and a and always lying? What's the I'm curious what the One always speaks mistruths versus one always lies. This is proof that Wes is an LLM. No, because LLMs tend to not misread things. They tend to, read things accurately. I misread the question. So somebody's saying that's an awesome puzzle, but well known. So I've seen and heard of many different variations on this. But I haven't seen this particular one. Evander saying Sam is the liar. We know this. That's funny. Wonder what Sam he might be referring to. So it's still thinking about it. There we go. Okay. Oh, a suitable short question is, if I asked you whether the left path leads to the treasure, would you say yes? No matter which sister you're speaking to, the answer will effectively guide you correctly to the treasure. But that's not one of the choices. So the question that, so the answer that this is giving is what path leads to the treasure? Yeah, it's not going to give the exact answer unless I give the, unfortunately I can't copy and paste the answers here, but there's a actually there's a GitHub repository with some of these. So maybe if I do this. Yep. So this is the same question from just the repository. So maybe this is going to be easier to do. I'm just going to just copy the whole prompt in there and see what happens here. Because I guess I could format it a little bit, but I feel like it should be able to figure it out. All right, somebody, okay, the Connecticut question. So which state has the letter Q in its name? So you mean just ask this question, which U.S. state has the letter Q in its name? I'll do that in a separate window once this is done. And the answer is Connecticut for everyone. You gave it the answer. Oh, okay. Thank you, Nira. Thank you for that. Yep. So is that the, okay, the answer is yes. You are correct. I didn't realize that that was in, your request was flagged as potentially Let me try this again without the answer in there. Okay, yeah, because in the GitHub repository they have everything, including the answer to the question, the correct answer. So let's try that again. And let me go ahead and let me format it a little bit. Oh boy. I'm just going to do this. I'm sure we'll figure it out. Hopefully. Let me just, I don't want to sit here for an hour correct formatting it properly. Okay. 1 second. So somebody suggested actually seeing if we can take a screenshot and upload it as the vision thing. Let me see if that's going to work. Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't. Why we wouldn't be able to take the screenshots and just do that. All right, so it's saying, it says it's finished thinking, but it's not. All right, anyway, so I've uploaded one of the questions here, and I'm just going to click go. And so this question is this. Jeff, Joe, and Jim are in a 200-meter men's race, starting from the same position. When the race starts, Jeff, 63, slowly counts from -10 to 10, but forgets a number. Before staggering over the 200-meter finish line, Joe, 69, hurriedly diverts up the stairs of his local residential tower, stops for a couple seconds to admire the city skyscraper roofs in the mist below before racing to finish the 200-meter. While exhausted, Jim, 80, gets through reading a long tweet, waving to a fan, and thinking about his dinner before walking over the 200-meter finish line. Who likely finished last? Yeah, so Paulo, I'm going to do the ArcAGI test with the screenshot. I'd be curious to see how that works. So it starts by slowly kind of reasoning through each scenario, each person. So I apologize, I've been talking for like 2 hours, so I am losing some steam here. But let me do a few more. Let me do just 1 or 2 AGI, ArcAGI, and then I think we're going to call it a night. Thank you so much for every single one of you that has joined. 719 concurrent viewers is absolutely insane. Thank you so much. All right, so basically, okay, so the first guy just counted. So it's like, that's not going to take a lot of time. The second guy diverts up the stairs of a local residential tower. So it sort of catches on to the fact that it's a significant deviation from running, the track. He like left the track, went to some local building, and then goes to the roof of the building, right? Is that starts climbing the stairs, stops for a couple of seconds to admire the skyline. So this is so interesting because this is here it's almost pointing out where the other previous models would have failed, because I think that's the sort of the red herring for the models, because it's like, oh, Joe, just he stops for a couple seconds to admire the city skyscraper. So I feel like earlier models, this is where they would be like, oh, that's not a long time, right? Ignoring the fact that he took a detour to run up a skyscraper. And Jim, thinking about dinner is a mental pause, but doesn't necessarily imply a huge time delay, like physically leaving the track. Okay. So then it sort of like sums up what it's been thinking about. Like Jeff's delay is likely a few seconds, followed by Jim, right? Maybe 10 seconds, like reading, waving, mulling over dinner ideas. And then Joe, he just left the track to go, whatever, climb a building. I think that's right. This seems absolutely correct, assuming that it didn't screw up the names, right? So Jeff, Joe, Jim seems right to me. Yep. All right. Very good. Let's do ArcAGI. Somebody suggesting question 10. The luxury sports car question. Is that what we're talking about? Minato, you're saying question 10. Is that the sports car question? I'm going to take a screenshot of that one, and let's do ArcAGI. All right, so 10 is the sports car question. All right. One second here. All right, so this is the sports car question. A luxury car, let me do this. A luxury sports car is traveling north at 30 kilometers an hour over a road bridge, which is 250 meters long, which runs over a river that is flowing at 5 kilometers an hour eastward. The wind is blowing at 1 kilometer an hour westward, slow enough not to bother the pedestrians snapping photos of the car from both sides of the road bridge as the car passes. A glove was stored in the trunk of the car, but slips out of a hole and drops out when the car is halfway over the bridge. Assume the car continues in the same direction at the same speed, and the wind and river continue to move as stated. 1 hour later, the waterproof glove is relative to the center of the bridge, where approximately? All right. Wait. It's saying, I'm sorry, I can't interpret images, but it obviously did. Okay. That's weird. All right, so it's sort of walking through the initial setup. It's sort of thinking about the glove falling into the river, assuming, and notice it's again stating its assumptions. The glove falls straight down and lands in the water. Glove's motion in the water. It's going to move as fast as the river. So it's taking in consideration the wind speed versus the water speed. Then it looks at the provided multiple choice questions, or rather answers. Okay. Oh, and notice it starts by eliminating the things that are unlikely to be true, right? So options B, C, D, and E involve movements that don't align with the glove's likely behavior. The glove is no longer moving north. No reason to continue that motion once it falls. There's no justification for it traveling tens of kilometers away in any diagonal direction. So it sort of figures out the two contenders, right? A and F. The current alone would carry it 5 kilometers east. The wind trying to push it west would have a negligible effect. And it won't move more than 5 kilometers east because the current is exactly 5 kilometers. Wow. Okay. And it's likely to be slowed all the way down to 4 kilometers of net eastward velocity. Wow, it's like really like struggling to make this decision because it's going back and forth. He's like, well, if it said 5 kilometers, then so it wants this answer. It's like, this is the answer that I prefer. I don't have that answer. This one says 5. Oh, okay, but 5 plus could mean, like if it said 6 or 7 or more or whatever, that would have been different. Wow, it's really struggling to choose just one. It's like, I'm leaning towards this, but here's why it's not that. And then it's saying in many similar conceptual physics problems, the intended answer is that the object simply drifts with the current. The wind is given as a red herring, or at best negligible. All right, so finally, after all of that, it's saying that the answer is 5 kilometers plus. But it's also really gave us its sort of reservations about that. And if it's not that, it's saying it's the other choice was what, the 4 kilometers eastward, right? So let's see if it's right. It is wrong. All right, so that's the first one that I think we've seen where it messed up. So I forgot who mentioned to use number 10. Why number 10? Was there something about it that stood out to you why this model would fail at it? Or specifically, the answer is less than 1 kilometer northward. Okay, so Michael Malik is saying the glove has moved 0 meters. It's lying on the bridge pavement, so less than 1 kilometer is the best answer. Okay, so I guess the assumption here that the model made is it fell off the bridge. But yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, and it says 1 hour later, the waterproof glove. So that's another red herring. It's like it's waterproof. Yeah, so yeah. So once the glove slips out, it will drop into the river below. But there's nothing to suggest that it would do that. There's nothing in the question that suggests that it fell off of the bridge. Yeah, okay, so the model assumed that the glove went into the river, which is not correct. With that said, yeah, let me ask it why. Why did you assume it fell off? So I'm curious if it's able to sort of pick up on that and like, oh, yeah. So I gotta say, like, if we can assume that it did fall off, like if the question is worded differently, let's assume it fell off. I gotta say, it seems like the reasoning it did for that scenario is really good. It seems like it considered a lot of factors, really struggled with the sort of final choice because it could be this, it could be that. So it's saying the scenario provided in the original question states that the glove slips out of a hole and drops out when the car is halfway over a bridge. In other words, the glove is explicitly described as leaving the car's trunk and no longer being carried by the vehicle because the bridge is located over a flowing river. The natural conclusion is that once the glove falls out, it drops into the river below. So I agree that most people, I feel like, would get this wrong because the questions are ambiguous, they're confusing. They're made to be confusing. I'm surprised that it's saying, yeah, to be fair, Mike S is saying, to be fair, some humans would probably assume the same. Yeah. But it's weird how it's saying, like, the glove is explicitly described as leaving the car's trunk. It's true. But then it goes because the bridge is over a river. Yeah, it's like if something falls out of the car, it falls onto the road. Okay. That's very hallucinatory. Yeah. Yeah, but it is interesting that I feel like most people would get that question wrong as well. Is my mic clipping? Anyways, I am in need of sustenance. I need some sort of a food before I I just need food. I'm slowly drifting away and maybe starting to hallucinate myself a little bit. But, so somebody said, why did you assume it fell off? Why did you assume... Assume it fell off the bridge, not just fell on the road. Yeah, let's try that. I should tell it, I am hungry, feed me. Yes, Cole, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everybody had a good time. I think I'm going to go right after this. I'm going to make a last attempt to get this AI model to realize the error of its ways. And yeah, here's the thing. So this is this question is drafted like a physics problem. Like if you took something like AP Physics, or maybe it's probably not at that level, but like just it's a physics problem, like a simplified version of it where you're trying to figure out what would happen to it based on like the forces or whatever, and so you give this to a human, that's how they start thinking about it. They're like, okay, it's a physics problem. Let's see. So the fact that it's like, yeah, you slip in there the fact, you know what I mean? You're forced to make an assumption. Like Owen says, the problem's details are crafted to lead to the conclusion that the glove falls into the river beneath the bridge. And I gotta say, like, if it's making the same errors that a human being would, are we sort of, somebody's going to timeout. Put user in timeout for 10 minutes. You're in timeout, buddy. Somebody spammed the chat. But yeah, it seems like we're to the point where the things that it's failing at is things where like a human being, if he wasn't expecting a trick question, might fall for it. So we almost have to like craft them to be trick questions. This is a trick question more so than the other ones, because the other ones had red herrings, but the whole premise of the problem wasn't a trick. Here, the whole premise of the entire problem was a trick, because you could have stated the same problem in one sentence, right? So if I'm in the car and I throw a glove on the floor, where is the glove, right? In all the previous ones, at least there might have been a sentence or two that were the red herrings. Here, like 90% of it. So yeah, I feel like I don't know if I would take this as a failure of it too, necessarily. But if it starts failing at the actual problem, so if this was the problem as described and the glove fell off and it was able to think through all the possible scenarios of what would happen and then come to the right conclusion, like if it failed at that, then I would mark it, like -1 point or whatever. But in this case, I feel like it's just, yeah, it fell for a trick. I could have probably I fell for the same trick with the two balls that were thrown in the air, right? Because I thought it was asking where's one in relation to the person's ball that they had on its head. Anyways, I am beginning to mumble a little bit, so that's my sign to finish up this live stream. Thank you so much for every single one of you that joined. I hope you had a great time. I'm going to be doing a video on this probably later, or maybe I'll just chop up this video and post it. So tune in tomorrow. I think they're having another live stream tomorrow, Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific. So hopefully you can make it. And thank you so much for being here. My name is Wes Roth, and I'll see you next time.